And so this is take two. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and good evening. I am your lovely host, Nana Hino. And if you guys want to continue having this conversation, let's get into it because if you're looking at the thumbnail, you already know that we're going to be continuing a conversation that is very important to me because I have seen a lot of social commentary about decentering men and the male gaze and all of this other jargon that is becoming trendy and popular within the femosphere. Is that a thing? I just want to first address the thing of um the male gaze and sexuality. Like I don't even think I'm not even sure how far I could talk about this. Um but there was a trend going on recently. I'm not going to link anything in my description about this, but y'all know all of those gym videos where these women are in very skimpy, tight clothing, and I think I mentioned this in the last video, at the gym in public in like some short shorts and doing all of these very suggestive, flam- flamboyant, flexing gym movements. And when men stare at them, they are recording this and uploading it to Instagram and TikTok and showing people how much they get harassed and catcalled and whatever else in the gym. And a part of that is this whole like anti-male gaze movement where women want to feel like they're not just sexual objects. But I think we have to really understand that men are very simple, men are very visual creatures and we're all very visual because we experience the world through our eyes, our hands, ears, mouth, right? And so if you are presenting yourself in a very suggestive way, or if you are wearing very little and in a place where wearing little clothes means something other than look at me, then you should not be very surprised when you get looked at. If you don't want male attention, and this is kind of the tricky part here because a lot of people will argue, a lot of these women have argued that it shouldn't matter what I wear because I should be allowed to wear whatever it is I want. That is true, but you have to understand that when you dress a certain way, you're gonna get a certain kind of reaction. Action, reaction. And this seems to be a common trend with modern women is that we don't actually think about the bigger picture. We don't know what reactions. For every action there will be an equal and opposite reaction, so there is causation in people's behaviors and there is a certain level of responsibility that one carries whenever we walk out of our house dressed a certain way, whether it be frumpy and oversized so that we don't attract any male attention and then we walk down the street and we're practically invisible because we don't look like anything that anybody wants to look at, or if you're in your wedgie height skimpy not gym shark, gym gym tights, leggings, Terraida, and just a tank top. Of course, you're going to, of course, people are going to want to slip a look. Women, men are going to want to slip a look at that. So I don't really see that this is an issue. It isn't. I really don't see that this is something that is cause for concern. If you want to address suggestively, then of course that comes with a certain level of equal and opposite reaction. If you dress up as a police officer, you'd probably get arrested, but but not before people would actually come up and ask you for help or directions or whatever it is people ask cops for. Maybe they run away from you. So yeah, you could dress like an officer, but don't be surprised if people come up to you and call you officer, officer. Can you help me catch that bad guy? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that it really, I don't think people actually work it out in their heads. Like, does this make me look this kind of way? Now, I'm gonna stop there when it comes to that particular thing. I just thought it was something very interesting when it comes to the male gaze and what all of it carries because like I've lived in Germany and I've lived in Belize and I've traveled around in places where men are more freely, openly spoken about how they feel about an attractive woman casually. Yes, for my German friends who probably have never experienced catcalling because they have spent their majority of their lives here in Germany, I'm very sorry for you. Unless of course you feel uncomfortable when men are paying you a compliment very aggressively, and that's basically all catcalling is. But when I moved here, it was really, really weird to see the overriding emaciation of men trying to, without sexually harassingly seemingly, pay you a compliment on the way you look. It's really creepy. I mean, just be normal and be like, "Hey, baby." Where you go? Where did you fall from heaven? Or something? Just do that. It's no commitment. But here, it's just super weird. People are grunting and drooling and staring, and I think that's even worse. Like, why are you Can you wipe the? Do you need a napkin? Like, oh, this hasn't actually happened to me. This happened to my daughter, but I'm not that cute anymore. I swear. And so the next thing that I really want to be focusing on right now in this segment is the body count, guys. The body count, the body count, the body count, the body count. Now, no judgment. All right. Let me start there. Let me just really take a real step back to say that your body count should not matter in your relationship to your partner. I just want to lay that disclaimer out there. My body count should not matter to my partner whatsoever. And a lot of people that see these videos online and see that there's so much talk about a woman's value and what she brings to the table and all of this stuff, they focus a lot on how low body count is extremely important. Now, there are a subset of men, and I don't know the exact ratio or the exact percentages. I'm sorry, I did not do my research on this. I'm just going to be honest, who really don't care about those things. Like, it's not an issue to the man. In fact, some men even apply the policy of don't ask, don't tell. This is not something that is going to actually affect our relationship. Of course, you came out of a situation where you came with something incurable, and we have to deal with that for the rest of our relationship together. It should not matter. And I think that if you're all consenting adults who have experience, you don't want to actually get into all of the gory details of how you got that experience. So I'm just going to lay that tape right out there. How I feel about body count. However, yeah, let's start with the however. All right. There is definitely a slippery slope of dissatisfaction, particularly women. Men are not so hard to please. Pun intended. Particularly women, when you have more to compare to, and I think I might have touched on this on my last video, then more, you have a higher level of, this is what increased the standard and the importance of your intimate relationship with your partner. When you have had the good, and that, you see, the thing is, I'm really trying, yo. I'm trying to stay within these guidelines. I'm trying to be PG-13. So I should have planned. I should have prepared. Oh man, let me. Okay, so there's the thing about mileage and your cars, and which broom sweeps the corners better and all of that stuff. Yeah, that's all good and fine and dandy. But your personal relationship with your level of consciousness or sexual consciousness of yourself and your sexuality is important to be aware of in the context of how important intimacy is in your relationship, and not to confuse intimacy with the actual physical act of being intimate. And once we have, because a lot of the times women who have had a lot of experience come from a place, or have had that lots of experience, because there's a breakdown in the understanding that quality and quantity are not necessarily the same. And these women usually have got caught up in a trap of only feeling empowered through the physical act. And this power is a fallacy. Like it's not really, it doesn't really exist. This is not actual power. And so you're basically like chasing a ghost or chasing a dragon, chasing an addiction. And it's very, very, very close to an addiction, but it's not the act that the women are addicted to, it's the attention. And so when you get into a level-headed, boring, consistent relationship where there is not so much passion and, you know, hot and sweaty, it's just quite standard, very regular, very even dull and boring, perhaps. This might be magnified as something wrong with the relationship. And then we begin to start to reflect on all of those failed. I think we should really focus and emphasize the word fail so we don't, over glamorize our past failures, our past failed relationships only in the only in the eyes of the part of the relationship where the intimacy was the best. So when we have, and the more experience we have, the more we have to compare, the more we tend to not want to respect and honor the relationship that we're in for what it is, which is the best situation, and be forgiving that people are not perfect and you are also not perfect. And all that experience was for what? Because there was something within us that felt like this was the only thing of value that we had and the only way that we could be in control of our lives. Because a lot of the times this comes with additional issues of, psychological trauma, physical sexual abuse trauma, depending on how high your body count numbers are. And all of these things compound the issue when we start to try to get into a normal, consistent, committed relationship. The things become more and more magnified because now you feel like you're stuck with one person, whereas you were kind of given an opportunity to really grow past the physical act into real intimacy. But because we spend most of our time hopping from bed to bed to bed instead of building intimate experiences outside of physical contact, we are starting as emotional virgins that actually don't really understand how to achieve intimacy with someone that actually loves us. And so this is why body count matters. If you're under 20, I'm talking about, bodies, um, you might want to take a deep step back and think about where is the last person or the last five people that you were with right now? Are you still close to them? What happened? What was the breakdown? And use that, depending on the level of breakdown and trauma that ended those relationships, use that as a springboard for what can I do better next time? Do I need professional help? And yeah, do I need to build up my esteem? Because every single time, and this is not necessarily the same for men, every single time a woman gives herself to another, she is receiving that person's, I don't want to say aura, they're receiving that person's, I hate saying the word energy, but you know what I mean? Like you are having this experience with this person, and a part of you is with that person forever. And the higher that number is, the more people you have to heal from, because there is a coupling up and then there's a breaking up. And that's not what you were for. That's not what you were designed for. If you're hungry and you are starving and the last thing you ate was cornflakes, and you've been wanting to eat steak for the past 5 meals, but all you keep eating is cornflakes, you will forever be hungry. And that does something. Like, am I not worthy of steak? It might be in the forefront of your mind or in the back of your mind that I need to work on feeling like I deserve more. And if we actually take the time to believe and to increase our value by healing from the traumas that we have allowed in our spaces, then we can actually get to a place where we can actually deserve the things that deserve the love and the intimacy. And it's not going to look like what you think it looks like. It's not going to look like any any one of these romance novels that you've read or any of these crazy, wild Christian Grey situations. It's going to look like something that you have never witnessed or noticed before because you were never looking for that before. And in order to get that, you're going to have to completely change how you view love and relationships and connection. Because before, all you were thinking love was, my guess, was the physical act. And when you shift that, that is something that has to be unlearned and unprogrammed. And unfortunately, it's very easy for us to just stay in the same pathway because we are, on some level, maybe in the front or the back, ashamed that we have treated ourselves so poorly. And it seems sometimes easier to just continue to be going along that path because going along that path gives us a short sense of power over something that we really are at the root not in control of. And this is why body count, this is the real reason body count matters. Of course, you want to make sure that you're presenting your best self and you have something to explore with the one true love of your life. Um, but if we're really honest with ourselves and the things that we have done and have not done, that has led to us accumulating so much sexual liberation at the expense of our health, well being, and just being sucked out dry, pun intended, by people who really don't actually mean us well, who want nothing more from us than to take, then we will find that if we had just said no or had used that time and energy to do something else with ourselves or with our bodies, then we would have gotten a lot more in return. Again, I am not saying this from a place of judgment. If some of you guys who know me personally know that I am the last one, I'm not gonna be putting all my business out on these internet streets. But this is what I have learned based on some of the people that I've talked to and some of the experiences that I have had has helped me to understand what real love is. And it's a process. And a lot of us will not be able to go on this process because the journey is very painful and very long for some of us because we have the beautiful experience of having to learn it over and over and over again until we get it right. Our next topic is going to be along these lines, but I just wanted to come on here and say those two things as a final sign off of the whole mind, body, soul part where we are now clearing off on the body. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you guys are having a great Friday. Happy Friday! And of course, if you know what to do, stay safe and stay free.